And welcome to another episode of the Herd Main Show. I'm your herd leader, John Wayne.
And I'm your herd mom, Megan.
And we are finally back on schedule between craziness of life and just a lot of stuff. I feel like we say that a lot, but it's because we're people.
It's because we're people. We have big boy and big girl jobs.
And we have life. I mean, like, stuff happens. A lot of it not to do with us this time around, but us there for people. And just stuff. You know, take care of yourselves, wear masks. COVID is still real.
Please wear a mask.
You know, we're fine, but we've been dealing with a friend of the family, and it's tough. Not even that, just a family member and a friend of the family.
Yeah, so, because they live together, so.
Yeah, continue to take COVID seriously. COVID guidelines, wear a mask, socially distance. If you don't have to go out, please don't go out.
And that's not just for you, that's for the people who are working in those places.
Right. And be careful, and high horse a little bit. I mean, we're going to have a couple of high horses before we get to the show, but...
Our horses are practically giant at this
point. They're
9
feet tall horses. They're so huge. So high horse moment. Be mindful of your own COVID experiences and how you talk about that and share that. Because there's a couple of people I know, just like throughout social media, not necessarily related to Star Wars Twitter, but I feel like it's worth mentioning to people that listen to our stupid little podcast. But like, there's people out there that are like, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, even when, the president of the United States tweets, don't be afraid of COVID. Like, those kinds of things are toxic because there's people that are legitimately afraid of COVID because we have seen the ugly side. We are preparing for the worst case scenario for a friend of the family. Not just your experience is not everybody's experience. And that goes for life in general, but with something that's potentially life-threatening, at least, life inconveniencing, be mindful of how you share about your experiences and perspectives because it's not necessarily everybody's. And I wish we had a miracle cocktail for the people we know and love for this thing. We don't. We don't have the president of the United States' health care. We don't have a lot of other people's health care. We don't have money to just throw at it because we're important people. Like, like we're a victim of circumstances. And I'm not saying like we don't have it. So like I'm not trying to put ourselves, but I mean a general part of the population don't have the resources and whatnot to be able to combat it and make it so that you don't have to be afraid of it and that it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, for Pete's sake, victim of circumstances is a great way of putting it. I literally had a conversation with someone the other day and said the words, I can't afford to get sick.
Yeah, it's real. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. As COVID continues to be real and whatnot, be mindful of those kinds of toxic thoughts and everything like that because you might be sharing that with someone who takes COVID very seriously because of the circumstances. So just a reminder of perspective and whatnot. It's also a good time to remind you guys to vote. Hopefully you registered on time because stuff closed, but we're not telling you who to vote for. No. But vote.
It does not matter who you vote. It matters a little bit, but it doesn't matter who you vote for to us.
Yeah.
If you vote, that's great.
You don't have to justify it, but you should vote. In a time where, there's a lot of talk of what being right American is, and all this other stuff and what America should be. America should be full of people that vote and care about who leads this country. So, and it matters. Yeah. It does matter who you vote for, but, that's your job to research and pray over if you pray or, just come to terms with at the deepest point, but you don't have to justify that to us, but you do have to vote.
Absolutely not. And, I like to remind people as often as I can, Palpatine's takeover of the Senate was completely legal. He got the votes.
Depending on who Palpatine is in your case, I mean, but regardless of your party, voting is important. So get out there and vote. Anyway, so that's a lot of heavy stuff.
Sorry.
Again, we are real people. Life is real. Things happen.
We are being affected by life currently.
Right. So, we can't ignore that, nor should we, I believe. I understand keeping certain things separate, but, we are not just our Star Wars fandom. We are not just our podcast. We are real people as well.
Yeah.
So, being real with circumstances is unavoidable.
Yeah. Also, non-heavy thing, but very exciting. Dave and Liv got married.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pizza and Parsecs.
Our friends over at Pizza and Parsecs got married.
Yeah.
Liv is president now.
She is president.
Not that president. You still need to go vote. But go check out Dave and Liv over at Pizza and Parsecs on Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff. They're awesome people.
Big congratulations to them.
Check out Red5Network in general. Full of awesome podcast people. That's all it is. When we talk about it, people ask. That's all it is it's just a family of podcasts who are awesome and you should listen to. So definitely do that.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Refollow Cameron. He lost a lot of followers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Poor
That's
baby.
what happens when you don't like pineapple on pizza.
And cats.
Okay. So, anyway, yes, on to the show. So, not at all originally on our docket, but last week, Clone Wars, The Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars.
There's a difference. The Clone Wars, the 2008 animated series by Dave Filoni and crew, celebrated a milestone. It turned 12 years old. That's as far as the air date. The movie came out back in like August of the same year and everything, but
that's not possible.
No. So it turned 12, which is a pretty big deal. And since we were coming off of a crazy time, we figured we would change up gears and it would be good to talk about something we love. And so that's what we want to do today. And we do have the help of Jacob G over on Twitter, at KOR_Vanguard. He created an awesome little 30-day Clone Wars challenge. We're not going to do all 30 and we're not going to do it in 30 days. But I really enjoyed his little thing that he made of, different questions of favorite aspects of the Clone Wars. And that's what we wanted to really do, is talk about and celebrate Clone Wars for this big milestone, because it's kind of hard to imagine, but it has been 12 years, at least for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you came in late to the game.
I was very late.
I saw this movie in theaters. I was waiting with bated breath for premiere episode. Like I was so hyped for this.
I was too busy watching Chowder and The Amazing World of Gumball. That's not even 12 years old. I was watching Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, that was on Cartoon Network. That's the thing.
Well, I stopped watching before that came on.
Apparently.
When I wasn't watching Cartoon Network, I was watching Nickelodeon.
You weren't ready.
Fairly Odd Parents.
You weren't ready for the Clone Wars.
You know what the real thing is? I hadn't met you yet.
Exactly.
That's why.
You wouldn't like the Clone Wars if it weren't for me. So.
That's very true. I wouldn't like a lot of things if it wasn't
I don't
for you.
really believe that, but I don't think you would have given the entirety of Star Wars the same chance.
No, like I've said before, I grew up knowing of Star Wars and liking Star Wars, but like I didn't watch it for, the lore. I watched it for watching Leia kill Jabba the Hutt, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fair. I mean, we've talked about before, you got to find your thing sometimes. That's why it's fair to give so many chances to things and try different things and revisit things and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, because you'd watched something of it. You'd watched some.
Yeah, we watched the first episode on one of our first few dates, I think.
Possibly.
I just remember sitting in your room watching Yoda doing some flips.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't necessarily think it's fair to compare, and this isn't one of the questions on this 30-day challenge thing, but, there's a lot of differences between the two. But as far as the Clone Wars media that we've gotten, between the Genndy Tartakovsky show and this one, which do you find yourself wanting to rewatch more?
Don't make me choose.
Well,
they're both so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's not a question of what's better, because I don't think that's fair, because Genndy's was, I think, 20 episodes total, 25
Something
episodes,
like
it's not nearly long enough. Very different format and everything. So it's not about better, but which do you like? If you got the option to sit down and rewatch something, what would you put on first?
Well, I think I have to be in certain moods for each medium, because when I'm in a nostalgic mood, I will always watch the 2003 series
Mm-hmm.
because that is lovely. It reminds me of Powerpuff Girls, same animator. Who
Right.
could guess? But if I have a particular hankering for Star Wars, the Clone Wars will always win
Mm-hmm.
because it's got the perfect amount of action, lore, Darth Maul,
Right.
and like all of those things like
Well, it's the
wrapped
benefit.
into one fantastic burrito.
Yeah, it's the benefit of a longer series for sure.
Oh,
Like, because
yeah.
you're able to get to the story. Like when Clone Wars started, it wasn't telling stories of Darth Maul and all this other stuff. It got there though.
Yeah.
And somebody recently I was talking to on Twitter was like, what if Gindi got a full series? And that would be amazing. I love the art style and I love his storytelling. And
Yeah.
he's proven in shows like Samurai Jack and Powerpuff Girls that, and yes, Powerpuff Girls has story, but like he's proven storytelling prowess as well.
What if he did a Mandalorian series?
That'd be cool.
That would be so cool. It would be like Samurai Jack, but like space. Well,
Right.
it's already in
Space Samurai.
No, it's in the future. It's not in space.
It's sometimes in space.
It's been
Samurai
so
Jack,
long.
sometimes in space.
Samurai Jack, sometimes in space. Label the camera.
I love having, and I often have put the 2003 series on in the background to watch. And I've said time and time again, whenever I'm like introducing someone to Star Wars,
Yeah.
usually like especially kids, I'll just throw that on. I won't even tell them what I'm putting on. I'll just put it on. And they're like, ugh, Star Wars. Like, not always like, oh, I don't like this, but it's more like,
what is
Star
this?
Wars. But then, they see it and they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
There were literal screams in the room when General Grievous came up.
Like they were invested. And then
So good.
you put on the 2008 series and it requires a little bit more investment to get that level of, hype. It's just very different. Gindi has very, fast and hard hitting, whereas Dave Filoni has very long, drawn out, story driven. And so I think they both work so well together.
And I think it's both of our kind of favorite depictions of our favorite Jedi. Well, you read the comic books for Kruk.
Oh yeah, well
'cause,
yeah.
like, I love Shakti.
I just love the Easter egg that he's in there.
Yeah.
But many of my favorite Jedi, like Roran Korub and Falam Dama and Wolfman, I think, or something like that. It's not it's not as straightforward as that. But Shagai, thank you.
It's still so funny.
I love that. I love so many of them. Also, R.I.P. Ron Cobb, who's the namesake of the Ithorian Jedi, Roran Korub. That's why he was named Roran Korub. It's a play on Ron Cobb. He designed the Ithorian and so many other Star Wars things and everything. So like, man, huge influence on Star Wars.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's get into some questions. Again, there's 30 questions. Thank you again to Jacob G on Twitter for putting this together. He didn't do it for us, but we came across it and we have had some good interactions with him. So we appreciate. We thought it'd be a fun little content thing. So go check it out for yourself.
Yeah, we appreciate genius when we find it.
Exactly. So I feel like favorite episode is a little tough because there's so many.
And that's not even including arcs.
Well, that's what I would ask instead. I would say his fifth question is favorite episode arc. Picking a single, because early on you have a few single episodes, but by and large it's arcs. It's 3 to 4 episode, groups.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite arcs?
The Siege of Mandalore is fantastic.
Yeah. That's the other thing is we haven't talked about the whole of Clone Wars since getting season 7. So that's interesting.
I was like, it's the only episode arc that I personally have watched that had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Wondering what's gonna happen next, because this was brand new. We didn't know. That, and also just obvious reasons.
Yeah, Maul.
Just take a sip every time we say Maul or mention Darth Maul, and you will be drunk in 15 minutes.
Right.
Honestly.
Drink
or
responsibly.
just drink coffee. That too.
That's true.
Yeah. But Siege of Mandalore is definitely a high point, as well as the initial takeover of Mandalore. I don't remember that arc name.
Oh, when he actually kills Satine and all that stuff.
Don't remind me.
I don't remember the name of it, off the top of my head.
Maul's Good Weekend.
But I know that's when like Maul and Death Watch team up and take over. It might be in the Shadow Collective arc, because the reason he teams up with Mandalore is to get Death Watch, but he also teams up with like the Hutts and the Black Sun and all that. So it might be a part of the Shadow Collective arc.
Yeah. I think the reason I like it so much is because you get Maul as the quiet crime lord, which is my favorite Maul personally.
I would say that's some of the better, because especially when after that moment, after he kind of loses it, which understandably, because he's built up this little empire of his only to have it taken away so easily.
Yeah.
He gets a little bit more back to his angry unhingedness. He loses some of the methodical, I would say. You know, and I think that's some of the stuff that bleeds into the Siege of Mandalore, in that some of his decision making there, like the whole thing of drawing the Jedi to him to try and rat out his master, like, you're not really in it for the good of your collective anymore. You're on your own personal mission.
It's self-preservation, 100%.
Cool, but again, it shows that unhingedness. I mean, especially like when he gets captured. You know, and he's just like, no, kill me. Like, you don't want to, like,
because he knows what's coming.
He's on the fringes again. So I think that's like Shadow Collective Maul is like peak on his own. He's found his rhythm, but I think part of it is because his master comes back. When Palpatine comes back, I think that's the moment that he kind of regresses in some of his progress, because it's like, oh crap, I thought I was doing good. Life was great. What is happening? Yeah,
and that whole interaction between him and Ahsoka is just amazing, because like you can look at my Twitter header on my profile to know what my favorite part is. 100% is just the offering of, let me help you. I might kill you.
It's an interesting thing, because this is a plot we never thought would be going on during the events of Episode 3.
Like,
but here we are.
There's so many times when they are so close, so freaking close to stopping Vader from stopping Palpatine, and
that's the sad part.
Exactly. Like, it's all of these, it's a series of near misses. Like,
absolutely.
It just makes me so sad.
I would say Umbara is probably one of my top favorites, just because it's the most brutal but most war driven. The only Jedi there, he's not really there except in the finale, because he's orchestrating the series of events, and I like that. There's not too many times we get just clones. You know, that one of my favorite episodes, if I can go back to the other one and cheat a little bit, one of my favorite episodes is the one on the Rishi Moon, when we first meet Heavy and Echo and Fives and the whole crew.
Yeah.
It's just clones. Like, that's one of the best episodes, and it's not because I have anything against the Jedi. It's just like, this is what I want in Clone Wars media.
We have a little bit against the Jedi.
My favorite things about the Gindi series are the ARC Trooper stuff. You know, the first few episodes when the ARC Troopers are infiltrating Munilist, when the ARC Troopers show up and take on Grievous, like, that's what I'm talking about. I love clones. So to get clone-centric action like that is why I love Umbara. But also it shows that you know, for a time, I think we all imagined that Anakin was the only corrupted one. Like, Palpatine got to him, that's why it all fell apart. But Pog Krell is an example of, there was corruption, as there is in any man-made or sentient-made construct. There's always corruption. There's corruption in the church. There's corruption in politics. There's corruption in the school board. Like, it doesn't matter where you go, there's corruption, because people are people. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't believe in people or trust people, but I'm saying that you have to always be aware it's going to be there. But with Pog Krell, that's interesting, because it's, again, this idea of, it could have fallen apart at any point.
Yeah.
That's why Palpatine succeeded, is because it was already fragile by the time he got to Anakin. Anakin wasn't the only bad egg. Like, there were others, but he was the one with the most influence on the course of the war.
Yeah.
So, but all very good. Like, it's hard to pick anything. It's one of those things in most of my Star Wars rankings. It's not a matter of best to worst. It's just levels of like, because even the very bottom one I love, which if I have to put something on the bottom, that's a good question. Interesting. Do you have an idea of one you would put on the bottom? This is the problem with spontaneity.
It really is. Like, I mean, like you said, there is no bad episodes, I don't think. There's just like a level of I love this versus I like take
this.
it or leave it.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Clone Wars movie.
Yeah, the movie?
Yeah.
Fair. I mean, it's so introductory and everything. Like the it's just, it would be interesting. I don't want it to happen, but it would be interesting with what they know and have now in terms of technology, storytelling prowess, all of this other stuff. If they did the movie, like, I have to imagine people would have a different opinion about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because it really is just the first 3 episodes of the series put into a movie. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand that. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
No, of course not.
I mean, it's kind of required viewing because Ahsoka gets introduced. Like, you kind of have to watch it, but...
Yeah, you're just going to come in and be like, who is this child?
Yeah, but you can always say, oh man, if you like this, it's going to get better. Let's see, I had one. Oh, favorite Jedi. And I feel like we have to put up the banner, and I know this is going to be troublesome for maybe some people playing at home, but no Ahsoka, no Anakin, no Obi-Wan. It has to be outside of the main 3.
You go first.
I am torn between Kit Fisto and Plo Koon. I love both of them. I will take Kit Fisto.
And I'll take Plo Koon.
There you go. I especially love... I've always loved Kit Fisto's design and everything.
Oh yeah, service with a smile.
From that first moment he was seen in Attack of the Clones, you know, I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy's interesting. So many of the Jedi that I see there, like, there's something about, oh man, there's like storytelling in the design, like, I need to know more. And then Genndy was the first one to get his hands on Kit Fisto. I love his episode, fighting on Mon Cala.
Yes.
And then when he's introduced in the Lair of Grievous, oh my gosh, now we see why he's a master. Like, this is dope. And of course he shows up in water episodes because you have to and everything, but I just love it. And having Phil Lamar do the voice and everything, I mean, like, that's forever Kit Fisto to me. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, he's just visually so pleasing, but then in terms of story, he's so wholesome but also fierce. And I love that about a Jedi, is that, and that's what I love, I think, about Qui-Gon, is like, he's such dad material, not daddy material. That's very different.
No. Obi-Wan is daddy material. He's dad material.
Apparently, if you go on Twitter. He's Qui-Gon's dad material while also being like dad. Like, you're still afraid of, you know, letting him down because oh man.
No.
And that's what I you know, visually I like always come to that one scene where it like zooms in on him when they're facing down Maul right after they get into the reactor room. There's like the zoom in on all 3 of them, but the one zoom in, like, Liam Neeson's just like so fierce in that, and I'm just like, oh, he bad.
Yeah, and it's also the moment of him meditating while the reactors are going on.
And that's the duality of it, is that same like, oh, I'm going hard. I'm seeing how because Qui-Gon figured out, like, he knew how to go after Maul. The problem is Maul also knew how to go after him, so he isolated him. But like, you see in that scene, like, oh, I'm gonna get him, and then later on though, it's just like that goes away. Whereas Obi-Wan's just like, oh, come on,
what do I do?
Let's go.
What do I do?
Qui-Gon's just like, all right, I guess I gotta wait. You know, yeah. What are you gonna do?
And that's why Qui-Gon is a master.
So anyway, Kit Fisto's amazing.
Plo Koon is also amazing.
Yes,
I think we both love dad material Jedi.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that is what's desperately needed.
Right, they're more dad than they are Jedi. He's more dad than Jedi now.
He's more father than Jedi. It's over, Anakin.
Right.
I have the dad ground. But like, Plo Koon in the Clone Wars specifically, I think he is such a father figure to Ahsoka. He's such a father figure to everyone he comes into contact with.
He's best example of wholesome Jedi to his clones and everything. Like they absolutely respect him.
Yeah. And I love the line of, "We're just clones, not to me."
Right. And that's the thing is, you get all of his philosophy in that. And clearly he's Filoni's favorite.
He got Wolf.
He got a pedestal. Yeah, he's got Wolf. He's got a little bit more feature than everyone else. So that's what's hard about this, other than just taking, oh, I love that so and so appeared in this scene or something like that. But in terms of content, yeah, Plo Koon got a lot, and that's really great because arguably, if given fan vote, take away all of the Clone Wars fan vote, probably wouldn't have gotten many for Plo Koon.
No.
Because he looks cool, but overall, meh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, most people would have, oh, give me more Mace, give me more Kit Fisto, any of that. But, for Plo Koon to get a high-value feature, Plo Koon wasn't there to take down Palpatine. Yeah. He got shot down in off-scene. It goes to show, he's the cool one you throw in there sometimes, but overall, he didn't have a lot of feature. Whereas now, I think he's a pretty prominent fan favorite.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that has a lot to do with his proximity to Ahsoka, but that's for good reason. Exactly. I mean, he's the one that went and got Ahsoka.
Exactly.
Wait, did he rescue her, or did he just
came across her? Found.
He was just like, huh?
Not found randomly, probably sensed it out and came to the village and was like, hey, she's got the gift. She's got the shine.
My grandmother called it the shine.
I have to put a lampshade on that baby. So.
Clip that, please. And just release it with no context.
Right. All right. So one that's personally interesting and difficult for you, probably. Fives and Echo or Waxer and Boyle. You gotta pick your favorite duo.
I don't want to. Fives and Echo. I love Waxer and Boyle so much. But at the same time, Fives and Echo have they have burrowed themselves deeper into my heart than anyone else.
Yeah.
Just because they were the last of Domino Squadron. That was my first favorite series of episodes when we first watched them. I remember falling in love with those characters and being like, hey, I'm that character.
Right.
I understand what they're going through. Because my chamber also had a leak in it, but no, that's hard case. Never mind.
Still.
But that the clone conspiracy episodes broke me.
Yeah.
On a deep level, because I have grown to love those characters so much, and then all of a sudden, hey, he's on the run because found out something he wasn't supposed to know.
Yeah.
And also just Echo coming back in season 7, that was completely out of nowhere.
Right, which hate to be the one to have to tell him all the things that happened since,
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, what happened after Order 66? He's out with, the Bad Batch, so what happened? Dave Filoni, please tell me.
Like I said, I would still love a little bit of a different spin in that Bad Batch stayed with the Empire and turned into Jedi hunters or something, or just became continue to do what they do but for the Empire. I know that's probably not the fan favorite because they're rough and tough and they should go against the grain, but I think it'd be more interesting to see them follow orders but struggle.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Fives and Echo again have a little bit of an advantage like Plo Koon because they're more featured.
Yeah.
Whereas Waxer and Boyle emphasize on quality of content. The few times they show up are big moments versus the many times that Fives and Echo and the rest of Domino Squad, which again, if you go back and if Clone Wars was different and instead of, I wouldn't change that it's about Ahsoka, but if as much as it's about Ahsoka, on the flip side, it's about Domino Squad. If from beginning to end you're following these characters, I think that would have been very interesting because they kind of
Yeah.
have elements of that where you start off season one, you've got, you know, Rishi Moon, then season two, you get a little bit of their backstory, then season three, you have the Citadel, and then season four. Like,
Yeah.
they appear once every season and have big moments, but overall, you don't feel like you're constantly with them.
And there is no doubt in my mind that if Echo had been around during the Clone Conspiracy arc, he would have believed Fives immediately.
Right. Well, I think it would have been different if it hadn't been one voice. And that's the difference, like, when you, like, you know, that's why it's important to speak up, but that's why it's important to speak up together, because it's a lot harder to silence many people and not seem suspicious versus one, you know, and, you know.
Yeah, but still speak up.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, let's see. Let's do some quick ones.
Quick ones,
we've gotten some. Well, we've gotten some talky talk ones. So, favorite lightsaber color has to be presented in the Clone Wars.
Yellow.
Yeah, I'm glad they canonized that in there.
Yeah.
With the Temple Guards,
yeah,
which also
specifically the Temple Guards.
Temple Guards, just in general, dope.
They are so freaking cool. That's it. That's
right.
That's the statement.
So cool. Favorite Mandalorian?
Bo-Katan?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you feel good about that?
I like having red-headed appreciation in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Representation.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the few and far between, honestly. It's Bo-Katan, Cal Kestis, and maybe one or two other.
Cal Kestis?
Ginger.
Oh, Ginger. I thought you were talking Mandalorians. I was like,
no.
Wait. I mean, that would be cool. I'm for it.
It's hard to see, but I am a ginger. Like, I promise, under the blue hair
Ginger's
dye.
in space.
Ginger's in space.
Speeder or Walker? Could be any, like Republic or well, do the I don't think the Separatists have a Walker.
Senator.
That's not an option, but okay.
Okay, I think I'd rather have a speeder bike.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I like the speeder bikes.
I feel like you like to be tall and stomp on things, though, with a walker.
Well, that too.
But
it's
I'd be afraid of you falling over.
Exactly.
I feel like your walker would be as imbalanced as you are.
Hey, I have vertigo, all right?
So, on the flip side, what about Republic or Separatist? Let's talk equipment in general, just like aesthetic. We're not talking about political views, but like in terms of equipment. Like if you would make a decision, if you would be American for a moment and make a political decision based on aesthetic alone instead of actual morals, which would you pick?
I gotta go with the clones, baby.
Yeah?
Like, I think that I would ideally go with the Republic because I believe in democracy.
Yeah.
But, like...
Would you be happy with the equipment, though? Would you be like that super Republic person, but be like, man, the other side has cool cars?
Man, did you see the droids?
Did you see that?
Did you see the commando
Did you
droids?
see the Octoparu? Which, by the way, would be the only thing I could think is a Separatist walker, but it's a droid. It's just a big droid. Like, that's what's most interesting is so much of the Separatist isn't equipment. It's just droids.
Right?
I love the droid Tri-Fighter. I know I'm very nostalgic for the droid Starfighter, the one that, you know, like in episode 1 that also does the little crabby walk and everything. But I love the Tri-Fighter because of just how unique designed it is. And it's literally just a ball in the center with a droid brain. It's like, that's really interesting.
Yeah. You know what my favorite Republic ship is? The clone drop ships.
Yes.
For no reason other than the fact that they cool.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I'm really aesthetically drawn to the clone gunship.
Mm-hmm.
I've always really liked it. It sounds cool. I love the engine and I think that's one of the main things is like in Attack of the Clones, you get a really good shot of it from behind, and you get that rev of the engine that just sounds really awesome. Oh,
I love the sound design of the ships in the prequels and the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I really love the ARC Trooper version. Yes. The one with the almost A-10 Warthog shark mouth on it. Oh my gosh.
Looks more like a puma to me.
Shut up. They said what it's supposed to be, but I don't remember. I don't know if it's supposed to be a Rancor or something, but it's supposed to be something.
A Rancor.
But in military lore, it's a shark, I believe, on the A-10 Warthog. And that's not
yeah.
commonplace. People make it seem like that's on every A10, but
No.
it's not. But it's cool.
Yeah, nose art is very cool.
I love that they introduced pin art in this.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like the Twi'leks and Padme.
I don't either.
I think that's a little weird.
It's a little much.
That's against regulation.
Although, service with a smile on the side of...
That's my thing, is I feel like I'd be in the conundrum of like, dude, you gotta get rid of the pinups. Okay, well tell them they've got to get rid of theirs. And it's just like...
It says Flo's Bros.
But theirs is cool. I feel like there has to be this like memorandum of, you know, aesthetic rules for clones, and like you can only paint your armor like this, or like you can only use these colors, or you can your nose art has to have this and that. Like, you know, what if there's an artist that got hired for this? Like, you're gonna be the guy that paints our warships, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, welcome on board. And like, who does it? Who does that? They don't come out the factory like. And I've thought about this, especially with clone armor, because when they started off, they were very traditional. Like, the most customization you'd see is like Rex with the J guys. But then you get into ones where it's just like full on, you painted this.
Yeah, like
That's not regulation.
Five's definitely painted on the Rishi eel.
Right.
And he has the coolest clone armor.
And that's
honestly.
my thing, is like, is it like is there a part of the ship where you can just go and there's just this guy that paints it for you? Do you paint it? Where do you get the paint? Do they allow, like, it's so weird, but it's so cool. But it's like, I don't know how well that would work. I mean, if anything, I like it for the aesthetic of Republic celebrates creativity, Empire kills it, because it's like no customization in the Empire.
All shiny.
Right. It's just all uniformity. Let's see. This one, oh, okay. 501st or 212th. Do you know who those are?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay.
501st.
Yeah.
I love my blue boys.
There you go.
212th, they've got... Cody's a wet blanket. Like, he is under Obi-Wan.
They got the airborne troopers, though, which are cool. I think. I've only ever seen them in orange.
But, like, come on.
They've got cool helmets. Yeah, I love the 501st. It's very stereotypical and silly, I know, but
It's
I
chaotic.
love Vader's fist. I love, like, no, these guys are the fiercest loyalist to Anakin, Darth Vader. Like, I love that. And aesthetically, seeing Darth Vader with 501st clone troopers looks so good. Like, I know that's not canonical so much anymore. Like, they rebranded the 501st for that. Still similar, but like, it makes sense. I get it, but at the same time, I just like the idea of Vader and the 501st. It just looks good.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of the 41st, the camos, the green guys.
Yeah.
Just because I love the idea of actual camo. That's the only armor customization that makes sense to me.
Honestly, yeah.
Favorite couple. I don't know that there's terribly many to choose from. Obviously, there's
Not a
Anakin,
ton.
Padme, which benefits a lot from the Clone Wars, getting more time. There's Obi-Wan, Satine. I mean, there's oh my gosh, what's his name? The clone that defected and married the Twi'lek.
Yeah. I don't remember his name.
I don't.
I did see a comic about that dude after Order 66 happened.
Yeah.
Although he wasn't anywhere near like a receiver, so he wouldn't have gotten the call. But I think they thought that it was like a transmitted through your chip kind of thing. And he went nuts and killed his family.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't at all. But
they go
like
after Jedi.
Exactly.
It is interesting what that would have.
Yeah, like would he have just like had a mental breakdown on the floor, or actually done something? I don't think he would have actually been triggered at all.
It's the question of, well, yeah, okay, so how's it activated? Because if it is just transmitted like that, why would Palpatine have to call everybody?
Exactly. Or was it just like a phone tree kind of thing?
But also, so he didn't technically call everybody, he called the commanders. And obviously Cody gave the order, shoot him down, and they listened, so there is a bit of transmission, but I'm not sure how that worked. We don't know enough about Order 66, and that needs to change.
Exactly. I agree. Definitely.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. So I have to go with Obi-Wan Satine.
Me too.
Just because I don't know what it is, but the Anakin Padme stuff is always so cheesy.
It's cheesy, it's complicated.
I feel like it's meant to be because that's how all of their stuff is, even in the movies, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's way more chemistry in episode 3 than there is in many of the moments. And I do like any of the coupley moments. I do like some of the moments where like their relationships kind of tested, like when he, like Rise of Clovis, when she's hanging out with a former partner who obviously still has feelings, and Anakin just like loses it. Like but I like that more for the character development of Anakin, not necessarily the couple development. If anything, it's just nice to see them together, because overall we don't know how often they were together. But with Obi-Wan and Satine, it's full on like developed romance. Like it's tension, like everything from when she's in danger and he's trying to rescue, or she's going the opposite political direction than he's going, but they're still like there's so much there that's so strong, so well written, so well acted as well.
Yeah, I love characters where their love language is bullying each other, because that's our love language.
Right. You know, you got to be able to fight about some things.
You suck.
So overall, so we'll end it on, again, we knew we wouldn't be able to get through all of it, but we'll end it on a pretty general moment though. And it might be on here. It's kind of hard to see with the background, but no, it's on here. Okay. Favorite moment overall. So just like, you know, what's something big that stuck with you over the course of Clone Wars?
I think this is a semi-easy answer, and it's something that I've talked about before. But in season 6, the very last few moments where Ahsoka makes the decision of, this thing I've believed in my entire life, yeah, I'm gonna step away. Because I haven't been in that to that extreme, but I have definitely felt like, okay, this isn't healthy. I've put too much faith and too much of my life into this one thing, and it's not helpful anymore. Therefore, it's time to step out. Like, that is
grown-up decisions, kind of like.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, that is a hard decision, and it is a painful decision a lot of the time. And that was the moment that I went from liking Ahsoka to loving Ahsoka. Like, that is when I started understanding of, you know, this is why she's so many people's favorite character. Because a lot of people see themselves in Ahsoka. And that was the moment for me. Yeah. Like, that is, I have felt those exact emotions. Yeah. And, you know, it's a very grown-up decision to make, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the biggest thing about it, about her character. Like, that's her ultimate growth in the Clone Wars. Not to say that she doesn't have growth. You know, if anything, we see the fruits of this growth in the season 7. But yeah, this is what it's been building up to, is Ahsoka's decision, not a Jedi decision, not a Republic decision, but a personal decision.
And that's the thing, is a lot of the time it gets to the point where you have to make that decision, or else you are going to crash and burn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's for so many different things.
We asked this question on Twitter as well, so it's a good point to follow us on social media, because stuff like this, and you get featured on the episode. So Pizza and Parsecs mentioned them earlier. They threw out the moment just before Rex and Ahsoka go down to face Jesse and the other clones.
That is a great moment.
Talking to of where he's like, you know, they're just following orders and all this other stuff, and she's determined, like, we're not gonna kill them. You know, and they're not gonna kill us, kind of thing. Very big, you know, that's very, they're not the enemy, like, and she has an inside view because she recognizes the truth of fives and all this other stuff. She knows that they're not the enemy, but even still, like, not many Jedi would be able to, in the moment, have that decision making of, I don't know what's going on, but I know they're not my enemy.
And that's the benefit of, growing up around these clones and being like,
Oh yeah,
this is my family.
yeah, because she could still have just said, "Well, the switch is flipped. They're not my family anymore." But I mean, he turned to the dark side, and no, the man who was your father ceased to exist. Like,
Exactly.
it's literally a Jedi thing. So I love to pick on Obi-Wan. Don't hate me. Brad from Scarif Scuttlebutt said the entire clone conspiracy arc, which you
Yes.
mentioned earlier, which, as painful as it is good.
It's fantastic.
Jim agreed with you, said Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order. Also Siege of Mandalore. A larger view of the Force podcast said Order 66, specifically from the Clone Wars part, which, yeah, like,
That hurt.
getting another view of such an, I did hope there was going to be more, but overall, still, what we got to see from a fixed perspective of Ahsoka and Rex was intense.
Oh, the moment where Ahsoka comes into the room and just sees Rex shaking, that is a great visual.
Right. Like two different people from two different versions having the same, something's wrong. Yeah. Henning mentioned, I assume the Ahsoka Maul duel. She shared that gif of that scene with the window blowing out. So, but that whole, oh my gosh, absolutely amazing use of animation.
Listen, leave it to, Maul to have the best lightsaber battles,
Right.
honestly.
Oh yeah.
Let's
most of my favorite duels have Maul in it. So
exactly.
Let's be honest. So we'd love to hear from you guys what your favorite Clone Wars stuff is as we celebrate 12 years, incredibly, with this amazing show. It's really crazy, the passage of time, and yet you can go back to any of that and it's still amazing. It's still great. It's aged well. If anything, it's gotten even better with time because we've gotten season 7, we've gotten comics, we've gotten books. So many great things have happened since then. So Clone Wars has only grown better and better. So it's awesome. We'd love to hear from you what your favorite things are. Be sure to check in the description. We now have a link tree. So it's one link to all the links. So be sure to check that out. And if you're not follow us on social media so that you can participate in questions like that, or just hang out and chat with us and share memes and all that good stuff. You can also check out links to Patreon. If you love the show, you can support it there. You can subscribe where you listen to it most. You can also check out our friends over at Red5Network. Like I said, family of awesome podcasts. Be sure to check them out if you like podcasts. You can also check out Game Infinite. Game Infinite is run by our friend Jesse and shares news and cosplay and all kinds of awesome gaming stuff. He's also got Star Wars related stuff over on Instagram with Star Wars Infinite, so you can check that out as well. All the links are in the description. They're all worth your attention and time, so be sure to check it out. Other than that, we'll be back when we're back, and continue to have a great week, I guess.
Boy, vote.